Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Nintendo might have been on top of the world in the mid-80s, but once the Mega Drive took the world by storm, the NES developers soon came crawling back to the Mega Drive. After all, Genesis Denesis, what Nintendo Denesis. So we previously took a look at 5 games that are largely viewed as Amiga titles first, and then we reviewed their Mega Drive ports. That video seems to have gone down extremely well, and if you are subscribed to the channel off the back of it, then hey, thanks! I enjoyed that concept a lot, and I thought it might be fun to do another console before tackling more Amiga ports. Now, I've been mucking around with my NES a lot recently, and it got me thinking, there's definitely some Mega Drive ports of NES games out there, and when I compiled the list, it turns out there's actually 6 that were released during the console's original lifespan. So let's look at the lot. Batman Revenge of the Joker is a 1992 US exclusive port of Batman Return of the Joker, developed by Ringler Studios. The original NES game by Sunsoft is a technical masterpiece on that system, with its huge sprites and detailed graphics. It's an incredibly tight, challenging game that really showcases what the NES can do, and it is rightfully regarded as one of the most impressive games for the NES on a technical level. However, this Mega Drive version is clearly a port created without any source code or input from the original developers. While the stage designs are largely the same, everything is placed a little off when compared directly to the NES version. The developer has clearly had to eyeball the original and design this port while playing it, which makes the whole thing feel like a wonkier can I copy your homework kind of experience. The soundtrack has been reproduced poorly using the GEM sound driver by everyone's favourite skinflint Tommy Tallarico, and all the graphics feature a horrible dithered effect that may have looked alright on a CRT, but look nasty on a modern display. Battletoads was brought to the Mega Drive in 1993 by Arc System Works, and while it's not doing anything particularly special in the visual department outside of adding some parallax scrolling, it's a very competent port that plays well and features most of the original version's content. It still nails hard and requires a lot of replays to learn its sequence of events in order to be able to react to it all quick enough, but it's still a fun and expressive little beat-em-up from Rare that's full of cartoony characters and comedic action. The second stage is also a reference to the English village Wookiee Hole, which is famous for its caves. This is a reference that is so British, and it makes me so happy it was included in a really successful video game that was released worldwide. Good old Rare. Mega Man The Wily Wars, or Rockman Mega World, is a 1994 compilation of the first 3 Mega Man games for the Mega Drive. For the longest time this was a PAL and Japan exclusive, with the only way to play it in the US coming from the short-lived Sega Channel service, but Retrobit later published a physical version for the US in 2021. It also released in the US via the Genesis Mini in 2019. The package itself is more than just a compilation, featuring new in-game artwork and rearranged music, plus the unlockable Wily Tower, which features new stages. It's a very impressive little collection that also features battery saves so you don't have to complete all 3 games in one sitting. Mega Man fans are a little down on the character movement, which isn't identical to its NES counterpart. It is a tad more unresponsive, but you can adjust to it if you give it the time. Overall, this is an impressive little package that is more widely accessible than ever thanks to being included in the Switch Online subscriber package. Championship Proam is a 1992 US exclusive remake of RC Proam by Rare. This forced perspective racing game is one of the highlights of the NES racing catalogue, featuring frantic and aggressive action that is enhanced with its use of weaponry to really get a one-up on your fellow racers. The game makes it to the Mega Drive really well. It feels and handles almost identically to its NES counterpart, and features enhanced audio and graphics in the jump from 8 to 16-bit. It's still a little visually repetitive, with the overall look of the circuits basically appearing the same from race to race. It would have been nice to have had more aesthetic variety as the game progresses, so you're not always looking at a grey track set against a grassy field, but it's a minor complaint. If you like racing games, then this is an easy recommendation. It's our third and final appearance of a Rare developed game on the Mega Drive, with this 1993 port of Snake, Rattle and Roll. This one is a PAL exclusive, yes, and it's very similar execution to the Championship Pro-Am port. You basically get a faithful port of the NES game with enhanced audio and visuals, and it plays exactly as you'd expect it to. It's a weird little game that requires you to eat a load of items while avoiding damage from enemies. Once you've eaten enough, you should be heavy enough to ring the bell at the end of the stage, which opens the exit. The challenge comes from the increased amount of enemies and tricky stage design that really ramps up from stage to stage. It's a game that's really made to be played cooperatively, which adds some wonderful chaos into the mix, but it's still a fun time if you play it solo. That Rare character and quirkiness really shines through however you play it. And finally we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. I was really surprised to discover that this one was released on NES first, because I was always under the impression it released on NES, SNES and Mega Drive at the same time. This one is less of a port and more of its own interpretation of the same concept. Each of these games is a one-on-one fighter regardless of what system you play it on, but there are differences in the playable roster and some minor tweaks to the in-game action that make each version feel unique. The Mega Drive version is largely considered the most difficult, and if it wasn't for someone on the GameFAQs forum saying that the best way to make progress is through liberal use of throws, I just wouldn't have seen any new competitors because the AI is just so brutally unforgiving. This is a difficult one to recommend to anyone but the most dedicated TMNT fans. You can play it nowadays via the excellent Cowabunga collection that was released for basically every modern system in 2022. And there you have it, every NES game that made it to the Mega Drive during the console's lifespan. There are some more NES games on the Mega Drive that have been ported by homebrew developers that I'd definitely like to tackle in a different video, so keep your eyes peeled for that one later down the line. Bye for now!